I grew up in Boston in a tenement neighborhood, and this is thing is working. Yeah, that's the front of the building where I grew up, and the lady on the left. No, don't do that. Don't do that. The lady on the left is my grandmother, and I lived in that building for the first 18 years of my life. And these were some of the guys I used to hang around with on the corner. You had to have a white shirt to be in this gang. That's me on the far left. I was lucky to grow up in Boston. It was a great city. Lots of academia and lots of museums and a lot of art, theaters and music and what have you. And very close to where I lived, about 2 blocks away, there was what we call a settlement house. 5-story brick building with all kinds of classes, designed for immigrants. It was built in the 1910, 15, 20s. Immigrant people could go there to learn various things they needed to learn, including English classes, because most of the immigrants spoke Italian or Yiddish or various foreign languages. And they had a theater. They had a sports program and a science program, but they also had a beautiful little theater. And I first stepped out on that stage when I was 8 years old, and I'm in the production of Hansel and Gretel, and I played Hansel. And this theater had a beautiful embroidered curtain, and it was a forest scene. And at the bottom, in very beautiful Gothic letters, it said, "Act where your part, there all honor lies." And I took that very seriously. I thought, I think that's very important to do an honorable job in the part that you play. So it made an impression on me, and I continued to do children's theater there until when I was 17, I was cast for the first time in an adult production of a play called Awaken Second. This was a play about a Jewish family in the Bronx, very much like my own Jewish family in Boston. There were 3 generations living in an apartment together, the grandparents, parents, and kids. And in this play, I'm playing a 17-year-old juvenile. I was 17 myself, so I really very strongly identified with the character. And this kid in the play was having the same concerns that I was having. How do you find out who you're supposed to be in the world? How do you find the right job for yourself? How do you go to the right school? How do you find the right girl for yourself? How do you build a life? And this kid was going through these issues, and so was I. And I thought, if I could do this kind of work for the rest of my life, helping people to understand their lives, illuminating lives for people in the audience, I would consider it very important work, and I would consider myself blessed to be able to do that. So I decided to be an actor. And I went home and I said that to my folks, I'm going to be an actor. Well, it didn't go down so great. You know. My parents were immigrants from Russia. My father was a barber, decent guy, stood and on his feet and cut hair for maybe 65 or 70 years of his life, and worked hard, very unsophisticated. I said, "Dad, I'm going to be an actor." He said, "You'll be hanging around with gypsies and vagabonds." I thought, okay, you know. That's the way it has to be. You know? And then he gave me the only advice my dad ever gave me. He was very serious. He said, "Learn to play the accordion." You can always make a living with an accordion. I didn't take his advice with this shit. The last movie that I saw before I left Los Angeles, I moved to California, the last movie I saw was Shakespeare's Henry V, directed by and starring Laurence Olivier, considered the greatest actor of our generation. Wonderful movie, wonderful movie. And there comes a moment in the movie where Henry is with his troops. They're about to go into battle tomorrow morning. It's the nighttime. Tomorrow morning they're going to fight the French. And they're vastly outnumbered. The French have a lot more soldiers than the English army does. Henry's concerned about the emotional condition of his troops, so he goes out in disguise, kind of hooded, like Spock did in Star Trek 3. And he goes out amongst the troops to listen to what they're talking about. And he hears somebody say, "I wish we had more men." And he says, "What's he that wishes so? My cousin? Westmoreland? Nay, cousin," he says, "wish not one man more. If we are marked to die, we are now to do our country loss. But if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor. And I got a chill when I heard that. I thought, wow, there's that word again. Then he goes on to say, by Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear. Such outward things grow not in my desire. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most offending soul alive. I took that very seriously. I thought, honor is going to be an important thing in my life. I've got to pay attention to that. It means something to me. There's a reason it keeps coming at me like this, and I took that in and held it.